This conference will now be recorded.
Now, so in the previous session, we have discussed about the HTTP GET method and the HTTP delete. Now let's see HTTP POST method. What exactly is the POST method? Now let's see. Basically, HTTP POST method is used to insert the records into the objects. That means we have a client and we have a server. For example, this is the provider. Okay, provider. It is having a table. Provider is having a table. And then we have a consumer. This is the consumer. This is the consumer. Assume that this is the Salesforce application, such as SFDC, and then this is the Java application. Java application. Now I would like to integrate where inside my Java application, I will be having one user interface. I'm having a user interface. Here I'm having some text boxes are available over here. And then here we have a save button. Save button. After entering some data inside my text boxes, when I click on save button, with these details, it has to connect to that respective provider. Inside the provider, inside this particular table, it has to create a record. It has to create a record. So that what we need to do, if you want to connect from one application to another application, the only mechanism is integration. For that one, we are using web services. So here what I want to do is I would like to create a web service. Okay, here I will create a web service. I would like to create a web service. So as soon as once I click on the submit button, now this submit button will be invoking this web service. Okay, it is invoking this web service, and then this web service will be receiving this input values. Based on that, it is going to be inserting the records inside this object. Once the records has been inserted, it will be collecting the response. The same response will be sending back to that. Now, in this case, by using this HTTP method, that means post method. So whenever if you want to create a web service, which is used to insert some records inside this object, okay, based on the input values given by the external system, then we have to create that web service with the help of a method called as HTTP post. Posting is nothing but inserting some new records. Now, so now here in this case, okay, now here in this case, whenever if you want to insert the records inside your object, okay, based on the input values given by external system, we are going to be using the help of HTTP post method. So by using this HTTP post method, we can insert the new records into the object. Then you can raise a question. So, sir, can we insert only one record, or do we have any chance to insert multiple? Yes, multiple also. Multiple records also it can able to insert, not only one, multiple records also. Now then how can we do this one here? Now let me explain the process so that you can understand more. For example, assume that I'm having my Salesforce instance. This is my SFDC system. This is my SFDC system, so which is a provider. For example, now inside my SFDC system, I have a table. I have a table, like some account table, for example, whatever, any table that you want. So this is the ID, this is the name, this is the rating, this is the phone, whatever, anything. I'm having a table. So this is my account object. I'm having an account object. I'm having the column. ID column, name column, rating, and the phone. These are the columns are there. And then on the other hand, I have a Java system. A Java application is available. So this is a Java application. This is a Java-based application. So which is the consumer? It's a consumer application. It's a consumer. I have Java application, which is a consumer here. Now, so now here in this case, now I would like to have the integration between these two, where Java system is going to be, Java application is going to be entering some data to create a new record. So once the data has been entered, upon click on the save button, it has to create a record here. Now let's see for that one here. Now, so inside this Java system, I have a user interface. I have a user interface where I'm having the account name, rating, phone. I'm entering this data. I have the text boxes, name, rating, and the phone. And then I'm having two buttons are available, save and the cancel. I have two buttons, save button and the cancel button. Two buttons are available. So as soon as after entering some data inside my text boxes, when I click on this save button, it has to connect to this SFDC system. It has to insert the record inside this table. So directly Java system can't connect to the SFDC system directly. For that one, it should require a integration mechanism. In order to integrate the two systems, we are using a web service. So I would like to have a web service over here. I'm going to be having a web service. So there is a web service is available inside this. There is a web service. We have a web service inside this. Here I'm indicating this web service name as account records service, account creation service. This is the web service name. This is the resource name that I have. Now this web service will be expecting the three input parameters from the consumer. And then what this web service will do, this web service is going to be collecting the data from the third-party systems, and based on that data, it is going to be inserting the records inside this object. Once the record has been inserted, it will collect the response back. It will be collecting the response back from this system here. The same response it will be sending back to that Java. So in this case, what we can do, so now we are going to be creating a RESTful web service, but this web service will be inserting the record here. For that one, upon creating this web service, we have to define this method as HTTP post method. HTTP post method is going to be inserting the records inside this object here. So whenever if you want to create a web service method which should insert some records inside that object, then we have to use an annotation called as @HTTP post. Okay, @HTTP post. So in this case, what we need to do is we are going to be sending this information. So this is the SFDC system which is having a web service. Now this web service can be consuming by any third-party system, whatever they want. They may be Java, it may be another Salesforce, another SAP, Oracle, Siebel, any application can consume this web service. Now, so in this case, okay, after entering some data, when they click on save button, they have to make a request. Okay, they have to make a request to this web service. They have to make a request to this particular web service. They have to make a request. Upon click on that save button, they have to make a request. So this is the request. Okay, request to that web service. Whenever we are going to be making a request to that web service, they are making a request to this web service. So upon making that request, they have to pass the values, right? Whatever the values they have entered. Suppose, for example, they have entered some account name as some Ramesh, rating value as some heart, contact number as some value, some value. When they click on save button, it has to connect to this respective web service. It has to send this data. So how this data has to be get forwarded? This data they have to send in the form of the request body. Okay, in the form of request body. So we would like to have the request body over here. This is the request body. Whatever the request that you are making over here, in that request you will be having the request body. This is the request body. Inside this request body, we have to send this information. Whatever the account name, rating value, and the contact number you would like to supply, we have to supply this information. How we need to supply this information? Whenever if you want to send this request body, that means if you want to send some input parameters, then we can add these parameters in the form of request body. Because not only one parameter, multiple parameters I'm passing. Suppose here I'm passing only name, rating, and phone. But in some cases, I want to pass multiple values also. Okay, multiple values also. So whenever if you want to pass this information, okay, to the request by using this request body, this request body should be in the form of a JSON format. That should be in the form of JSON format. We have to pass this information in the form of JSON format. Then how can we pass this information in the form of JSON format? Now let me explain. So now whatever the input parameters we want to supply. So I want to pass the account name so that here we can specify that flower braces. Flower braces is indicating this is a JSON content. This is a JSON content. Here we have to specify JSON is purely in the form of key and the value pairs, like as a map collection. Like as a map collection, purely in the form of key value pair collection. So what is the key name of that parameter? That means the name of the field, and then what is the value? That is nothing but the actual value which you are supplying. So here I'm indicating the name column value colon, and we can specify that value. What is the value we have supplied? Ramesh. And then comma. This is the first parameter. Key and the value. This is the key and this is the value. Key and the value both will be enclosed in the double quotations, and then key and the value should be separated by using a colon over here. This is one element. Next element here, comma, second element. Second element is rating field. What is the value? Heart, comma. What is the third one? Phone. What is the value which I have entered? Which has a 9966 8877. Whatever the value we have entered. This is the whole information. Like that, here we can able to pass that input parameter in the form of JSON format. So whatever the values you would like to supply, that value we have to pass in the form of JSON format here. Okay. So now in this case, whenever you are passing some request body should be in the form of a JSON format, where whatever the input values you would like to supply to that third party sales web service, that information should be in the form of JSON format. JSON format is purely supporting to pass the values in the form of key and the value pairs. We can specify the key is nothing but your parameter name, that means the field name, and the value is nothing but the value which you are going to supply to store inside that column. This is how we need to do. So whenever if you want to create some records into your Salesforce instance through the web service from an external system, then we have to create the web service method with the help of an annotation HTTP post. HTTP post annotation will be receiving the records from the third-party system. It may be one record or multiple records, and based on those record values, it will be inserting the record into your actual table. So in this case, HTTP post method is going to be receiving the request in the form of request body. Whatever the records you would like to pass to that web service, that the records you have to pass in the form of JSON format. That JSON format of content we have to add inside this request body. We have to embed that request information in the form of request body, that should be in the form of a JSON format. Not only one record information, multiple records information also we can able to pass to that web service also, so that we can create multiple records in one shot. Okay, this is how the architecture. Okay, this is how the flow we need to do now. So in this case here, we can now here in this case. Now in this case, how can we implement this one? Now let's see. So now let's see how can we implement this functionality. Whenever we are going to be supplying the input parameters, that input should be in the form of JSON format. Now let's see. HTTP post method. By using this method, we can insert one or more records into the objects. One or more records into the objects. Now, upon invoking the request, we have to supply the required record details to the web service in the form of JSON format. In the form of JSON format. We have to embed the request details inside the request body. Inside the request body. Inside the request body, we have to embed this information. Then how can we use this one? Now let's see. What exactly the syntax? Now let's see. Syntax is @HTTP post, specify the method name, global static return type, and the method name. If you want, we can able to pass the parameters. And write the logic. Write the business logic in order to insert the records inside this object. Now, so this is what the syntax we used to follow in order to insert the records inside this object. Now, let's see practically how can we do this. Let's take with a practical use case. For example, I want to insert a new hiring manager record inside my object. Or else let me show you two use cases over here. For example, let's take an contact. I want to create a new contact record inside my object. I want to create a new contact record inside my object by passing the required parameters. Now let's see. Take a small use case. Create a RESTful web service to insert a contact record inside the object. Contact record inside the object. Supply the required field values in the form of JSON format. In the form of JSON format. So whatever the input values are required, pass those values in the form of JSON format, okay, through request body. Through request body, we can able to pass that input parameters. Now let's see practically in this case, how can we do this? Now, let me create a web service. I'm creating a web service class. contact records helper. Now, as a step one, we have to make this class as global. Global class contacts helper, and then give the resource name. So I'm using @list resource. I'm giving the parameter URL mapping equals to slash contact records service slash star. I'm giving this resource name as contact records service. Now, I need to prepare the method. So @HTTP post. This is a post method which will be expecting some input parameters. Now, I'm preparing the method. Global static. I would like to indicate that return type. Return type I'm indicating like as a string. Record is created or not. So that I'm going to be returning this value. Now, in this case, I'm giving the return type as string, which will be indicating to the consumer that record is inserted or record insertion has been failed. Now, so I'm giving the method name as create new contact. Here I'm passing the required parameters. Like whenever if you want to create the contact record, last name is a mandatory field. And along with that, I would like to pass few more fields also. For that one, we can specify the parameters. String first name, string last name, string title, contact title, string contact email, string contact phone, string contact fax, string contact mobile phone, string contact mailing city, string contact state, string contact country. These are the parameters I would like to supply. In order to create a new contact record, I would like to pass all these parameters. Based on these parameters, it has to insert the record. Now, so in this case, what happened? We will pass the parameters to this particular method. So now this method will be receiving those parameters, and then those parameters we are going to be storing inside the respective object fields. So with these details, I would like to create a contact record. So I'm creating the contact term. With contact some con equals to new contact. So we need to supply the values for each and every field of your contact. Contact dot first name equals to f name. That means whatever the parameter values are available, these parameter values I'm passing to my respective fields. Contact dot last name value. Contact dot title. I'm indicating C title. Contact dot email. I'm indicating C email. Contact dot phone equals to C phone. Contact dot fax. C fax. Contact dot mobile. C mobile. Contact dot mailing city. I'm indicating okay. Contact city. What are the parameters? CCT, right? Contact dot mailing state. I'm indicating okay C state. Contact dot mailing country. C country. I'm passing these values and I would like to insert the contact. Insert contact. So once the contact record has been inserted successfully, I would like to give the confirmation. If contact.id not equals to null. Okay, not equals to null. Then I want to return that. Contact record created. With ID, I would like to pass the ID also. cym.id. Else, I want to show that message here. Return contact record creation has been failed. I want to return this value. So this is what the web service which I'm creating. So in this case, what happened? We have created a web service. This is what the implementation. Now my web service is going to be receiving the input parameters. Based on that input parameters, it is inserting the record inside that object. Once the record has been inserted, it is preparing the response. The response will be sending back to the consumer. In this case, now my web service is ready. My web service is ready. Then the Java application, that means the consumer application has to invoke the web service. Okay, it has to invoke the web service. So what is the consumer application we are using right now? We are using that workbench tool. We are using workbench tool. Workbench tool. So now here we have to specify that. This was name. What is that? Services slash Apex REST slash. What is your resource name? My resource name is contact records service. Contact records service. So what is the method type over here? It is a HTTP post. So that select the method as HTTP post method. This is the post method. Post method. That means this method is going to be inserting some record. So that whatever the input parameters you want to supply, we have to specify those input parameters in the form of JSON. That JSON content we have to place it over here. Okay, we have to place that JSON content inside this place. So now let's see. So what kind of parameters we need to supply? These are the parameters are available. Okay, F name, L name, C title, and then C email, C phone, C fax, C mobile. These are the parameters. For these parameters, we have to supply the value. How we can able to prepare in the form of JSON. JSON content is very, very simple. It's like as a key value pair collection. So specify that, okay, flower braces. Inside that flower braces, specify the key and the value. Key should be in double quotation, value is also in double quotation. Now, so here what is the key? Key is nothing but parameter name. What is the parameter name? F name. What is the value? I would like to supply the value over here. Okay, I'm indicating like as Ram, comma. Second name, second parameter is L name. Ram Kumar. And then C email. I'm indicating ramkumar@some gmail.com. C fax. I'm passing the value. C phone. I'm passing some value. And then C mobile. C mobile. I'm indicating this value. I'm indicating C title. Specify the title. I'm indicating he is a product manager. And then C city. I'm indicating some Hyderabad. C state. I'm indicating the value as in Telangana. C country. Some India. These are the values. So whenever if you want to invoke that web service, we have to pass the parameter values. These are the parameters. For these parameters, we have to pass the values. This parameter name is a key, and then you can supply the value whatever you want. Now, copy this JSON format of content. Here, this is purely in the form of JSON format, like as key, value, key, value, key, value. Like that, we have to specify the content. So now copy this, paste inside that request body. Paste inside the request body. Now, so now once you click on this execute, what will happen is this JSON format of content will be forwarding to my web service. Now this web service is going to be collecting this data. Okay. Now this web service is going to be collecting this data. Based on this data, it is going to be inserting the record inside my object. Once the record has been inserted by supplying the values to these respective fields, then it is going to be giving the response back. Okay, it is giving the response back. Now let's see. Click on execute. So now the request has been processed. It is indicating that confirmation over here. Contact record created with ID. This is the ID value. Now click on show raw response. In this one, you can able to see that contact record has been created with the ID. Okay, this is the ID has been generated by Salesforce. So we got this ID. So that means it's a confirmation to us that record has been created successfully. Okay, so this is how we can able to pass the records information to this RESTful web service. RESTful web service is going to be receiving this content and it will be inserting the records inside that object. Let's go to your contact object. Let's see. You can able to see that record. Now with the name Ram Kumar, it has created the record. Ram Kumar, it has given the title as product manager and then phone number, mobile number, fax number, email ID, city, state, country. We have supplied these details. With these details, it has created the record here. This is how we can able to create the records inside your object through RESTful web services. Okay, now this is the format of, okay, this is the process of using, okay, RESTful web service in order to insert the records inside your object.
So how can we send this without the third party? I mean, like, uh, I mean, like these services. When can we send this directly from the applications itself?
Yes, yes, that's what here. Because here we are going to be preparing this JSON format of content. Okay, I'm preparing this JSON format of content. I'm passing this JSON format of content over here. But when you go to that, the Java application has to collect these values. Based on these values, it has to prepare the format like this. And this format, it has to pass to that web service. Okay. So what are the values it has collected from these text boxes, then the Java people has to write some code. They have to collect these values. Based on these values, they have to prepare the JSON format of content. And then this JSON format of content, they have to add along with that request body. Okay. For that one, we are going to be using the classes called as HTTP classes. When moving forward, I will show you the HTTP classes also to you. So as part of this HTTP classes, HTTP, you will be having that request. HTTP request REQ equals to new HTTP request. Now, request dot, you will be having that set body. In this body, we have to specify the JSON format of content. If you want to prepare the JSON format of content, we have to use a class called as system.json generator. JSON generator. By using this JSON generator class, we can prepare the JSON format of content at runtime through programming that in JSON format of content we need to pass to the set body method. So it will be passing dynamically. Here we are passing manually by preparing our own, okay, with the help of this JSON format of content, we are passing through by using this request body inside this text area. But through programming, we can able to pass. How to pass, I will show you in the OAuth authentications. How to prepare this kind of JSON format of content through programming, how to use JSON generator class, how to pass these values, everything I will show you with a live example.
Yeah, thanks, sir. Thanks a lot.
Firoz,
Yes.
can we pass as a single object instead of passing so many parameters?
Sorry?
Can we pass like a complex object, like a S object, instead of passing so many parameters?
No. We can't pass.
Okay.
Because upon passing the parameter, that should be in the form of JSON. Okay, because RESTful web service is always expecting JSON format of content, or it is sending JSON format of content. That means input, output both will be JSON.
Okay.
Okay. Now, so we can't supply the S object type of parameters. Now, so let me take one more small use case. Now, I would like to create a record inside my hiring manager object. I would like to create a RESTful web service which is used to create a hiring manager record inside my object. How to create the records inside the hiring manager object? Now let's see. Let's take a small use case. Create a RESTful web service to insert the hiring manager record inside the object. In order to insert a hiring manager record inside the object, I want a web service. Then how can we do that? Now let's see practically in this case. Now, let me create a RESTful web service. Hiring manager helper. Hiring manager records helper. Now I'm making this class as global. And then I'm going to be indicating that RESTful web service at the rate REST resource. I'm indicating this resource name by using URL mapping parameter. URL mapping equals to / hiring manager service. I'm creating this RESTful web service with the resource name hiring manager service. I think with this name already a service may be available. Duplicate URL mapping. See, with this name already a resource is available. Record service. Now, so now here I'm going to be creating the web service method. HTTP post global static string create HR card. Here I would like to pass the parameters. To create the hiring manager record, we need 4 parameters. Okay, string, it is expecting the name, HR name, string, HR email, string, HR phone, string, HR city. These are the 4 parameters. So in order to create the hiring manager record, we have to supply the value for these 4 fields. Based on these field values, I would like to insert the record inside this. Now, so now here I would like to collect these values. Based on that, I would like to insert the hiring manager record. I'm creating the object of the hiring manager class. HR record equals to new hiring manager. Now I'm passing the parameter values. HR record dot name. I'm passing HR name value. That means whatever the parameter values are there, these parameter values I'm passing to my respective fields. HR record dot email. HR email. HR record dot contact number. HR phone. HR record dot location. HR city. And then I'm inserting that hiring manager record. Once the record is inserted, then I would like to check the confirmation. HR record dot ID not equals to null. Then I want to return. HR record inserted successfully. And else I want to specify that message. Return HR record insertion failed. HR record insertion has been failed. This is a message which I would like to send. Now, so once the web service has been ready, then we are going to be invoking this web service. So upon invoking this web service, we have to pass the required input parameters. We have to pass the required input parameters. So what are the parameters are there? These are the 4 parameters which we have defined. HR name parameter, HR email, HR phone, HR city. So for these 4 parameters, we have to supply the value. So I'm preparing this JSON format of content. I'm indicating that HR name parameter. I'm indicating some Shubha Raghunathan. And then I'm indicating HR city. I'm indicating some Bangalore. And then HR email. I'm indicating shubha@gmail.com. And then HR phone. I'm giving some value. These are the 4 parameters. So in order to invoke the web service, we have to pass these 4 parameters. So these are the 4 parameters which I'm supplying to this particular RESTful web service. So copy these 4 parameters. Now paste this JSON content and then execute this service. So whatever the 4 parameters are available for this RESTful web service, these 4 parameters we are supplying over here. And then click on execute. So now the web service has been executed successfully. So now it is indicating HR record inserted successfully. Now when you go to this show raw response, it is indicating this HR record has been inserted successfully. So that we got that confirmation back. Let's go to the hiring manager object. Let's see whether the record is inserted or not. So it is indicating Shubha Raghunathan. So whatever the location, contact number, email ID we have supplied, with those details, it has created a new record inside this. This is how we are going to be preparing the web service which can able to insert the records inside your object, so that this web service it can be invocable by the third-party system, where they have to pass input parameters in the form of JSON format as part of this request to request body. Okay, this is what the implementation we have to follow upon insertion. The same manner, okay, when coming to that makemytrip.com also will happen. In the makemytrip.com, we are passing some from location to location, number of passengers, and then the travel date. Based on that, we are searching, we are getting the flight details over here. From there, we can select that flight, and then we can able to enter our details to reserve the seat. Once you click on save, once you click on that save button to reserve the seat, after making the payment, it will be passing all these details to the respective aviation division's web service, which will be collecting the details. Based on that, it will be inserting a new record inside the database. So and so customer has reserved so and so seat number in so and so flight and so date from so and so location to so and so location here. It will be creating an entry automatically. Once the entry has been created, you will be receiving one email notification automatically. Dear customer, your seat has been reserved, okay, for to travel from Hyderabad to Bangalore and so flight number. This is the flight name, this is the departure timings, so please be available, okay, half an hour before, okay, for the date of travel. Like that, you will be receiving that notification here. This is how they are going to be implementing these functionalities. Okay, so whenever you are reserving any travel ticket applications, or whenever if you are using Paytm, okay, anything, so this is the process will happen internally. Now let me place this code. I'm indicating this URL. Method name is post. Request body. Now, let me give the assignments. Create a RESTful web service to insert a lead record inside the object. Next, create a RESTful web service to insert an opportunity record.
So can we do the DML operations as well using the post method?
That is what we did, right? Insert operation we did.
Okay, so other operations also we can do, right?
For that one,
The-
yes, here we are having this. Okay,
Patch,
patch
okay.
method. The patch method is, but in order to perform upsert, put method is for
Okay.
update.
Okay.
Delete method already we did yesterday.
Yeah.
Create a RESTful web service to insert a position record inside the object. Okay, now. So try these 3 assignments today. In the next session, I will show you how to perform the patch and the put operation. And along with that, I'm going to be discussing about the concept called as JSON format. So what exactly the JSON format? Whenever if I'm receiving some JSON format of content, okay, how can we parse this content? I will show you how to generate the JSON content also. I will show you in the next weekend. In the next Saturday and Sunday, we are going to be discussing about this patch and the put and the JSON format of content we'll see. And after that week, we are going to be discussing about the concept of OAuth authentication. Okay, OAuth authentication, how to use that here. Okay, so that we can able to complete this integration feature. Okay, so do the practice on this one this weekend. Okay, tomorrow we'll be having the development sessions as usual. Tomorrow morning for 7 o'clock batch people, we have the session at 7 o'clock as usual. For 4:30, they are having the 4:30 session as usual. Okay, thank you.